goes in red.
It should be red, yeah, it's in here.
It should be red. All right. Well, he started 3 minutes early, so I think we can get started since he has already given us that time. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Daisy Jimenez, and I am the president of Liberty Heights Neighborhood Association. In collaboration with East Dallas Neighborhood Association and Liberty Heights Neighborhood Association, we are welcoming you tonight. Like I went over some housekeeping things for you to be aware. 11 questions, 1 minute each. We do have timers who will be helping you stay on track with your questions. And what we ask you is that you pay attention to that and just respect and stop at that moment. Like I said earlier, no one will penalize you for not being able to answer all the question within that time. We understand, but we just want to try to get a little sample of some of your thoughts and some ideas. We are very excited to see some new energy coming into District 1, and you have two very strong, solid neighborhood associations here. Really eager to be able to work with our city officials as we move forward with elections. So without further ado, I just want to make sure that I give all of you a 1 minute time to just introduce yourself so that the constituents for District 1 know you and see who you are. And so please introduce yourself and we'll start on this end.
Very good. First, I'd like to thank the Liberty Heights and the East Dallas Neighborhood Associations for inviting me here today. My name is David Race, and I've lived in West Dallas for 31 years. I've lived in District 1 for 23 years. I've been in my house there. I work at Direct Supply. I'm an implementation specialist and a corporate trainer. I'm new to politics, but in business, I'm a professional and an entrepreneur, and the skills that I bring to the table are experience in leadership, process improvement, and negotiations, finance, and business. I have a bachelor's degree in business and marketing, and I have a master's degree in business administration from Cardinal Stritch University. I'm coming with bold and creative ideas. I will bring a new vision to West Dallas, and I believe in efficient and transparent government. So I care deeply for West Dallas. I care deeply for our district. I believe in transparent government and building a strong community. I genuinely want to serve this city and its residents. I will listen to the valid concerns, to your concerns, and I will give you a voice at City Hall. Thank you.
Angelito?
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank also the Liberty Heights Neighborhood Association and the East Dallas Neighborhood Association for putting this forum together. My name's Angelito Tenorio, and I'm running for 1st District Alderman here in West Dallas. A little bit about me. My parents, they immigrated from the Philippines in hopes of finding a better life. They came to Wisconsin, and they found West Dallas, and they picked West Dallas because they love the neighborhoods, the community, and West Dallas is an affordable place to raise a family. My parents taught me to always give back, to be altruistic. So now I'm running for office in order to give back to the city that raised me, in order to give back to my hometown. I served in the Wisconsin National Guard, and it's that same sense of duty and service that motivates me to run for alderman. I really care about West Dallas, and I believe West Dallas has a lot to offer. So I wanna do everything I can in order to better our city, for our community, and for our residents, and to move West Dallas forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Angelita, you did a great job, anyway. So anyway, myself, I'll be Vince Vitale for the last 32 years, be in West Dallas Common Council. I've been living in West Dallas for over 50 years. The fact is that West Dallas, we always really done so much really to bring the community forward. We always done many things within the city with development, try to maintain our tax base where it is acceptable for the citizen of West Dallas. We always look to save some revenue, in different ways, in a safe directions, and I believe the council have done this in a fashion where I feel that people that served before me and people that we've been serving this council since I've been on board, I feel we all have been responsible in any directions, in any policy that will affect the community, try to make the best decisions with many decisions that would be made throughout the city with developments, which,
Vincent, I'm gonna cut you off because your minute is up.
I know, thank you. That's fine, that's fine, thank you. Never stop talking, that's what it is.
Hi, and I also like to thank Liberty Heights and East Dallas for putting this together for us. My name is Peggy, and I have been a resident of West Dallas for pretty much almost my entire life, about 56 years. My mother grew up in West Dallas as well. I went to all the high schools, grade schools in West Dallas. My goal is to be the voice of the residents of District 1. So if you have any concerns, you'd be able to get a hold of me in any way, whether it be phone, text, email, Instagram, Twitter, and I'd be able to voice what you want within your area and your neighborhood. I want to support all the children as far as getting stuff together for them, so they have places to go and get rid of some of that pent-up energy that they have. Also working for the seniors to hopefully keep the senior center going for them.
Okay, thanks, Peggy. Your time is up as well. So we are going to go ahead and get started with the questions. We are doing a random way of selecting who would answer the questions. So we're not following any specific order. So just please bear with us as we get started here. I have my helper, Ben Jimenez here, who would like to get started by asking the first question to them. You need to turn around and face them. First question, please.
How many common council meetings have you attended, and what is your take away from them?
Okay, first question goes to Vince Vitale.
Vince.
Well, I figured out 32 years, maybe, I mean, I don't know, a couple thousand. You know, really, I only miss maybe one or two meetings occasionally, once a year, but I have technically I have 100% attendance within the city council, you know. And even though I've been gone for a couple of weeks, I always respond to people, you know, effectively, you know. I never let anybody down in my years of service with the city. So, and I believe that's part of the job, to be responsive on the many issues they do come up, you know, whether it's email, but years ago it used to be phone calls, but today it's more, the people over 50 or more, they always still call yet, you know. But the younger people, I mean, of course it's email or text message, you know, which is great, you know. Until about 10 years ago, really, I didn't know much about computer, you know. But as today, you know, really, I'm doing fine, you know. I take care of all the issues that do arise.
Thank you, Vincent.
Sure.
Angelito, if you could go next. Same question.
So I've been going to the council meeting since last year. I've been trying to go to every single one, so I'd probably say between 8 and 10 of them. And it's been incredible seeing, like, in action what the city does at the local level. Because I feel like right now a lot of people feel disconnected from the decision-making process, but seeing it in action, how it works, passing resolutions, the budget process. And I've learned that the Aldermanic position, the city council has a lot of power to do a lot of good work for the people of West Dallas, particularly for the district, for District 1. So I've learned that the common council can be a powerful tool to advocate for our neighborhoods, for our community, and it can be a powerful tool to advocate for the issues we care about.
Thank you. David?
Over the 31 years that I've lived in West Dallas, I've been to a handful of meetings. But running for alderman, I also ran in 2012. I've watched them all on the video feed on YouTube. And very much like Angelito, the Common Council does have a lot of power. I've been very disappointed in some of the things that they've done. We saw the mayor give up some of his responsibilities to the city administrator, And that takes that administrative power out of our hands. So the mayor, by doing that, we voted for the mayor to do those duties. And that is something that now he is not responsible for. And that takes it out of your hands. That takes it out of our hands. I was also very surprised that our city is in trouble financially. So West Dallas is not as financially sound as maybe some of us would like to think.
And Peggy, same thing. How many common council meetings have you attended, and what's your takeaway?
Well, in the years that I've been in West Dallas, I've probably, with my mother, probably in total, probably around roughly about 20 meetings to date. As far as the takeaway, just watching the process of how things work with the Common Council, the discussions that they have within their individual meetings and how they come up with, their decisions, and having to follow the statutes that bind them to what they're doing. It's all very interesting as far as, their decision-making and coming up with, yes, we can, or no, we can't. It's not in the budget. No, we can't do it just because of the statute. So my takeaway is, the legal point.
Our second question then for the candidates is, how would you communicate information to residents about issues being addressed by the Common Council? This time, Peggy, we'll start with you.
I think an actual newsletter is a good idea. Can also do it via a web page that the person can have, where the people can go to that web page or Facebook account and see, what's going on, what the decisions were, and to get any feedback from them as to what they think should be better than what they're talking about.
Okay. Vincent.
Yeah, first of all, really, we always keep the citizen update because first of all, we have a quarterly magazine the city does mail out to every residence, and then we do publicize the the first Tuesday of the month or third Tuesday of the month. We always publicize the agenda, with the informations based on the fact of what the council is going to act upon. So it's not something that we always give the outlook of the people to know what's really happens within our city structure here. It's not something that's done by closed doors. I mean, we never had those problems, I think we keep then of course if somebody call for any issues, I mean, you always give it the answer that people asking you, based on the issue that came up or I mean, anything that really affects the city. So the door is always open, but the city always keep people updates. And I like to mention that the mayor of West Dallas still has control of the city of West Dallas. The administrator, she still runs the city based on the council, what we give to her to follow. It's not just the question that she runs the city. She don't. Let's be realistic. So that's a question people should know about it, because the mayor didn't lose any ground of controlling. That's not true. Thanks,
Vincent. David, same question about keeping residents informed.
So I'll agree with Vince. I think that that West Dallas is pretty transparent. They've got all of the meetings. They even have the committee meetings online. I've watched many of those. So I think transparency is good. I think I would do two things. First of all, I would communicate to you how you would like that to be done. So whether that be through a Facebook page, whether that be through just personal interaction. And the second thing that I would do is communicate my positions ahead of time before the meetings, before we go to vote, so that I can get input and feedback from the residents, because let's face it, I'm the one that's going to be casting the vote, but you are the ones that are going to tell me how you want me to vote. So that is going to be what I would promise, that I will address it ahead of time before the vote comes. But I'll agree with Vince, it's a very transparent government.
Angelito.
This is actually one of the key issues I really care about: responsive, accessible, and transparent government. As a part of this campaign, I've been knocking doors, reaching people. And someone I talked to recently has been in West Dallas for 50+ years, votes in every election, but said that I was the first ever candidate or elected official to show up at their doorstep. And to me, that's unheard of. Like, there should be a constant connection between the constituents and the elected officials. So something that I want to do, even after election day, is continue knocking doors, not just to talk about the issues I care about, to listen to them on what's happening in our neighborhoods and in our communities. Something very tangible, too, that I want to do is host town halls in different parts of the district. And it'd be very low cost, doing it at the local coffee shop or at a neighborhood meeting space, something where both alders can sit down and just update people on what's going on, but actually hear what's going on in the community.
Thank you very much. Our third question tonight, we'll start with Vincent, but everyone will get the same question. How would you propose to foster a greater sense of trust between elected officials, services such as police, and citizens?
We always, between the police department and the, I put everybody all together, public works, fire department. There's always a sense of communication. I believe West Dallas Police Department always been really on top in relations to have, what I put it, a personal connections with the public. Years back we had a neighborhood programs, that people used to have a party, at the National Night Out. So always the police department have done so many things, really. But then throughout the years, it kind of fade away. People don't want to be participating. They just kind of lost interest, and that's part of the questions, ask about. But we still have the personnel within our structure here, the police department, the fire department, they're always out there trying to make themselves visible, and the council just as well, we have done this, so it's not the questions of the city been looking the other way, or the department said.
Angelito.
So this is something that's really important to me also, just having that constant connection between city leaders, public servants, and the people. Because if we don't have that, then there's mistrust. And then that's when a vicious cycle of people not going to our police officers or firefighters or city officials, and then the same thing where our city officials aren't connecting to the people. So I think the way to address that would be really integrating and making sure that our public servants are part of the community. And I think something that's really incredible that's been happening recently are our neighborhood associations. Just really getting to know your neighbors and having our firefighters and electeds and people come out to different events in the neighborhood and really promoting that, but also supporting that too. I think it's really important to show up, and that's when we can build trust between the city and the people of the First District.
Thank you. Peggy?
To build trust between the residents and the police department, like Vin said, the National Night Outs have actually gone away in the neighborhoods. And maybe with the help of some of the neighborhood associations, maybe we can start getting getting those back again, so the neighbors can start seeing each other and knowing who they are. So when they're walking in the neighborhoods, they can say, oh, he lives down the street, or I don't know this person. And that's the biggest thing. You have to know who's in your neighborhood. And when you're at home, you can't just close your blinds and say, I'm done for the night, I'm not worried about it. Everybody has to keep their eyes open for everything and contact the police. Don't be afraid to contact them. I think that, even if, during the day, if the officers could even, get into the neighborhoods and, talk to the kids, and show them that they're there.
David?
I'm a big fan of community policing, and I agree with all the candidates, Angelito, Vince, and Peggy. I think they all raise good points. I've absolutely seen the police officers coming to block parties, and I think that should continue. But really building trust is very difficult in our current climate, especially with law enforcement and the public. And I think that one of the things that I would like to see is continued training for the police. I mean, they've got the McGruff crime dog coming out to the block parties, and that's great. They've got satellite police stations. So like Vince was saying, they're already in the community, and I absolutely appreciate that, and I would expect that would continue. But just as far as building trust between the police and the public, I think it's really incumbent upon us, the leaders in the city, to make sure that our police are trained at the highest level and that they can achieve that trust between us and the community.
For this question, we're actually going to start with you, David. What is the main concern you hear voiced from residents as you've been campaigning?
Well, that's a great question, and there's a lot of concerns that I've heard. There's macro concerns and there's micro concerns. So I absolutely feel like a lot of the residents that I've spoken to, a big concern of mine is low wages and lack of access to health care. Those are more on the macro level. I also hear that people are not happy with bars that are in their neighborhoods. Down in District 1, in I believe it's Ward 1, they have a rat problem in the city. And the city's not doing anything about those things. So on the macro level, I think there's a lot of available jobs. Unemployment is way down, but wages are very, very low, and people have a real problem accessing health care. It is incumbent upon the leaders to really start to fix that problem, so I definitely would support mitigating that. But also, we have to look at those micro things that they really rely on us for, like bars that are not doing well in the neighborhood and rat problems that I think need to be taken care of.
Vincent?
Well, okay. In reference of the, from what I heard, basically, I have to say that because I have to defend the health department. We did really throughout the city, in particular in the East End, we spent about a year or so over $20,000 bedding the catch basins. The city's been building inspection, the health department, they've been constantly out there to fight some of those issues in relation to rats. So the fact that is, as we speak right now, I don't think so evident that we still have that particular or concern. I think it's kind of curbed down, maybe a trace at this point yet. We don't know. I didn't get no complaints as we are here tonight, but because the city's been after them. The city's been after many property owners within whether it's the first Aldermanic district all the way to the 5th district and on the West End, in regard maintain the building, whether it's as absentee landlord, residential, single property owners. The city's been after many things, the austerity and the structures of the building, the way they're maintained. So we have done that, very aggressive. So maybe some people don't like it, but the only way to keep a good neighborhood, to keep good buildings, that's what it takes to follow, not just talking.
Okay.
I'm done. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Angelito, what's the main concern you've heard voiced from residents as you've been campaigning?
As I've been knocking on doors, talking to hundreds of our neighbors, I'd say the number one issue that comes up is public safety. We actually, and it's a legitimate concern, but actually at the Liberty Heights Neighborhood Association, the police chief came in and was talking about the statistics in District 1. Crime is actually on the way down, but there's just always this perception of crime that is higher than what's actually happening in the community. But in order to address that little crime that's happening, I really believe in investing in our neighborhoods, investing in our community. Because like we've talked about before, if people don't know their neighbors, that's when crime happens. So that's why I'm really promoting community events, block parties, where people get to know each other on the ground, in their neighborhoods. That's how we address public safety, investing in our community and building that sense of community, building that sense of neighborhood.
Heidi?
What I've heard is people are concerned about speeding in the neighborhoods, where the blocks are, a little bit longer than a normal block. People, zoom through there, and, I think that basically we need to, maybe start thinking some speed humps to slow people down. They're also, also concerned with crime. And I know I had addressed this at the Liberty Heights Association meeting, is that down on, at the end of the streets where they meet Hank Aaron's Trail, we don't see a lot of police officers down that way. They might come down to 56 and turn up Walker, but they don't come all the way down. They don't see what's going on. And we have a lot of people that come from Milwaukee over the Hank Aaron Trail into Milwaukee, into West Dallas, to do their drug deal, and then they go back. And that needs they need to start looking at that aspect.
Thank you very much. Our next question for the candidates is, our district has a large number of rentals in our district. As the alderperson, are there ways that you can help increase owner-occupied homes and increase the participation and engagement of our renters in District 1? Angelina, you can start.
Yeah, so I actually rent in District 1, so I could speak to this personally. And I think the way to get people who are renting, who don't own a home, to get them involved is to get to know them. Honestly, I was knocking doors, and one of my neighbors, has been living in the apartment for years, and said that I was the first ever neighbor that they've ever met. So it's really building that sense of community so that people can get to know each other and get involved in the community. I think that's the biggest thing, getting people to buy in into District 1, into West Dallas. And into, right now, I guess for me personally, I could not afford to buy a home, but in order to just brain drain people leaving, once people buy in and decide to plant their roots here, their family, that's when they'll invest and buy a home and stay in West Dallas, because that's what we really need.
Okay, thank you. Vincent?
Well, I'd like to answer, those questions. First of all, really, the housing department within our city structures, we do sometime, when we have some money through block grant programs to acquire some abandoned properties. People just don't make the payments. So many times the city acquire those properties, then the city will renovate those, remodel those properties. So, and we try to sell those properties to people with a lower income. So we have some of those projects already in progress, and not just a year ago. It's been on for a long time already. So the fact is, rental, you're never gonna really disappear rental properties, because many people, they can rent a house, they don't feel like to buy a house based on their reasons, It could be financial reasons, it could be many things, So, but the city is always out there, in regard, we have programs to update some of the old properties, which, like I said, they get abandoned, people don't pay the taxes, or they just leave the house, so the city will take up the responsibility.
Okay.
And then, okay.
Thank you, Vincent. David?
I think West Dallas is a great place to live. I think it's a great place to buy a house. It's definitely affordable. So 31 years ago, when I bought my first house in West Dallas, I used programs through the city. So I bought a house that was kind of run down, and I actually got 0 interest loans in order to put a new roof on, put new windows on, fix the basement, and it turned out to be a really nice house. And then 10 years later, I bought the house that I'm in now, and I didn't need help at that point, thank goodness. But I would not have been able to get that start without those programs. So I think the housing department in West Dallas does a fabulous job. I would definitely like to see that continue. You need to bring in those young home buyers with affordable housing, and we need to help them get off on the right foot, because I've been in my house now, the one I'm in now, for 23 years. I'm paying taxes all of those years. So that's what the city started. I took advantage of it, and I want to help others as well.
Thank you. Peggy?
I'll go on. You'll never get rid of the rental properties, but I think the main thing is to try and get the renter to look at it as the aspect is that it's their house. They live there. And what people perceive that property as, the way it looks, that reflects on them, not just the homeowner. It reflects on the renter too, because if they're not keeping up the property, that's going to reflect on them as well. And it's also going to reflect on how the neighbors talk with them or get them interacting with things within a neighborhood. As far as getting people homeowners, there's other programs out there, first-time home buyers programs out there to help people to get a loan at a low interest rate to buy houses. So we just have to inform the people on what programs are out there that they can utilize.
Thank you. Little feel-good question here for us tonight. We'll start with David. What is the greatest strength of West Dallas? And specifically District 1?
Well, I think the greatest strength of West Dallas is really its affordability, and the things like the neighborhood associations. I think District 1 is really coming along, especially in the area of development. So there are several developments in West Dallas that are going to expand the tax base. That is great. I know Vince has been a part of those. Give you kudos for that, my friend. Good job. So the only thing that I think that we need to do is kind of improve the image of West Dallas. I think a lot of people have a specific image of West Dallas, and I think that they're wrong. I think that, we hear things like dirty Dallas and stuff like that. That's just not the case. West Dallas it's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise kids, and it's a great place.
Thank you. Angelito?
I love West Dallas. And I'd say one of the greatest things about our city, and particularly District 1, is our neighborhoods, our communities. Like when people come together, it's absolutely incredible. And District 1, honestly, we're home to the best farmers market in the area. We attract new people. And just getting people to buy into our district. And I think we're doing well. We're attracting a lot of new businesses, new restaurants in the area, but also investing in all parts of District 1 as well. I think that's really important. And we're only growing as a city, and I think we can do more moving forward.
Awesome, thank you. Peggy?
Well, with District 1, it's a community, just like, Angelito was saying and David was saying. And we need to start getting people back together again and form that community. And so we get to know each other, and we get to know each other's little quirks. Don't play your music too loud, or don't race your car down the street. The kids in the neighborhood, so people can actually say stuff to neighbors, and not have somebody go off on them. And As far as the benefits of District 1, again, the farmer's market, we got the nice apartment buildings going up, they're revamping 70th Street. So, yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of different things coming in that I think are going to strengthen District 1.
Thank you. Vincent?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to really take not just the first Aldermanic district, of course, I have to take the entirety of City of West Dallas, you know. I mean, I want to compile them all together, every district. The city has been investing, of course, on the east end. We spent between all the parks, I bet you at least $800,000 Liberty Heights, and which one is at the by the substations, all those parks, you know, that we've been updating, you know, that's part of to bring the community, the family within the neighborhood together, you know. So the city's been really done a lot, whether it's developments. The farmers market has been there for over 60, 70 years, you know, but we've been investing money at the farmers market just as well, you know. So the city really, in many ways, is been moving forward. We have a budget of $61 million and some cents, you know. And so we try to refrain the, you know, getting any more taxes, you know. But the fact is that it takes the work, the mayors, the city administrator, and the council just as well, you know, to make West Dallas moving. And it takes a lot of good effort. Who's serving on that council just as well? To me, I mean, I always look at people around me, and I always respect every one of them, even though we agree on some issues, you know. Okay?
Thank you, Vince. Okay. Taking the other side of it, and you get to take this one first, Vincent. What is the greatest area that needs improvement in West Dallas?
I mean, basically we've been improving just about, you know, the Burnham Point, you know, we already has been some things that we've done, you know, and tried to get things rolling, you know, to update that corner of business. Years ago, about 30-some years ago, there was a going business in that area. But today is not, because based on time changes. So then with the development, like I said, on the farmers market, that's another issue. I think it will create some tax base. We do have taxable incremental programs, you know, which again will be benefit the city, not just right now, but years down the road. Once those tips are get paid for, the city will prospering. And what you're doing throughout the years, since I remember 88, 89, when the Aldermanic collapsed. So everybody was opposing it. The city was connected to try to revamp the Aldermanic site, you know. So we created a TIF district at that time. So all those TIFs by the Aldermanic side, most of them, they all paid for. So what it is, the city's been reinvesting to promote more development and try to get better tax base for our city, you know. I know I'm limited, you know, so I have to watch
sorry,
myself.
we want to try and get into as many more questions as we can. Thank you.
Yes.
Peggy.
Down on the east end of West Dallas, some of the businesses need to learn about some programs that, you know, that are available to them to, you know, curb appeal of their business, to bring their business up to date, so it looks nice, so people are, you know, willing to go in, and just making the main streets look a lot better. Also, some of the businesses that are closed, we need to find, you know, some way of filling those buildings with good businesses to bring in good tax base for the city, and something that's not going to, you know, hurt West Dallas like some of the businesses have in the past.
David?
I agree. I think that the curb appeal could use some updating, but I also agree with Vince. I think that development around the city has been good, and the TIF districts are going to pay off. That is something that is absolutely going to happen, and it really does promote that economic development. So I think West Dallas has done a really good job with that. I think one of the biggest things that West Dallas needs to improve is the image. We have a wonderful downtown area. They've put up those wooden things so we can have outdoor dining. I know my wife and I, we love to go down there. We frequent the businesses all along downtown. So I'd like to see that kind of initiative continue, keep the momentum, and move it east. So, yeah.
Angelita?
One of the biggest thing that West Dallas struggles with, that District 1 struggles with, is substance abuse. Specifically when it comes to the opioid epidemic. If you look at the public map of where Narcan's being used or where overdoses occur, West Dallas, District 1, is one of the most impacted. And I know a lot of communities, a lot of cities treat this as a law enforcement issue. Honestly, I was talking to a deputy police chief, says that the opioids is one of the biggest expenses of the police department. Whereas I think the better approach would be addressing it as a public health crisis as it is. Working with our public health officials, our public health department, working with community educators and first responders in order to address the root issues of people dealing with substance abuse and making sure that we're addressing those causes in order to help them.
Thank you. Our next question centers on the budget. What plans would you have to deal with budget shortfalls, in particular ones that would affect the senior center, the library, and other departments? Peggy, you may start.
As far as, I'll just, the senior center, excuse me. I was at the common council meeting when all the seniors were here, and I had mentioned that there are businesses out there that will donate their time, their materials to fix things. It's a tax write-off for them, and you can get quality work done at no cost to the city and no cost to the senior center. If you put it out there, businesses will come in and let the city know that they're able to do this, this, and this. And if we can't do this, there's this company that can do this part of it. The senior center is something that does have to stay because, face it, we're all getting older, and this is someplace that the seniors do have to have someplace to go during the day. Once you get older, all their people are dying off, so they're alone.
Thank you. Vincent?
Well, first of all, like I said, the city, we always try to restrain our budget, which we have done. You know, at the last budget, actually we used $1.5 million was through the revenue and services through the health department, revenue that you get police department from fines, and many other sectors within our structures. So so that's why we were unable to really raise any dollars, any tax. It was very minimum. I think it was very great for the mayors and the council really to come through on that, But the fact is, I know I heard about the senior center. Well, everything could be under study, or discussions. To me, that's what make a democratic system. You talk about something, maybe some way where it could be save more dollars, maybe it could cost more money. But like I say, that's why you're a council, that's why you have a mayors, sometimes to bring concern forward. Not just anything you bring forward that are finalized is not the issue here, So we're very cautious on any move the city does for the best interest of the citizen, of West Dallas, really. But we're doing fine. In West Dallas, I think we have a responsible people, and I praise all the department heads. They're very responsible on their directions, what they're proposing, what they're doing within their department. So I have to speak loud for them. We have a good people within the structures,
David?
I would be very cautious of raising the debt profile of the city. We've done that recently. And that is definitely something that I would not be in favor of, that I would not vote for. I think, and right now I know that the city administrator or the mayor has an initiative where every department head has to come before the mayor and say how they're going to cut 5% out of their budget. And I don't think it's going very well from what I've seen. The Common Council cut over $70,000 out of its budget by moving to the new healthcare system for the part-timers. So they're leading by example. They're actually making cuts, and now there's talk about narrowing down the districts, having less council persons. That's going to save money. So really the only one I see in West Dallas that's trying to save money is the actual Common Council. That's on Vince. Good job. But I would like to see that continue throughout the city, because what I would commit to is the library is off the table.
Angelito.
I think for West Dallas, we need to expand our tax base. And right now, we can do that by attracting new businesses, new restaurants, and sustainable developments and redevelopments, especially in District 1. And for other budget shortfalls, I think we need to find creative ways to generate revenue. If necessary, we can do public-private partnerships if that makes the most sense, but also looking at other ways in order to address these budget shortfalls, because that's really important in our city and particularly within our district.
Thank you very much. What is your perception of crime in our district specifically? And we'll start with you, David.
My perception, I think that crime is fairly low. But it is a problem, and it's definitely a problem that we need to address. I think that as I've talked to people knocking on doors, I've heard a little bit about that. I think something that Angelito mentioned earlier with the opioid crisis, it kind of fits hand in hand with that. So I think that you kind of have to have a holistic way to solve these problems. They're very complex problems. But just specifically violent crime, I know that West Dallas is working with the Cardiff model. That shows great promise. I think figuring out when interagencies communicate and you can deploy resources to the areas where the problems actually are, that is key. So I think that momentum needs to go, but my perception of crime in West Dallas, especially in District 1, is it's fairly low, but it's still an issue.
Angelito?
As I talked about before, crime is down in our district, which is a good thing. And moving forward with this, I think just really, because effective policing can only do so much. And I think it's really important that people get to know each other in the neighborhood, as I've talked about before. And particularly when it comes to like spending and the budget, particularly with the opioid crisis, if we're able to lift that strain off of the police department and actually get to the root causes of these issues, if we're addressing poverty, if we're addressing access to employment, access to education, we save money as a city, and we're able to address these budget shortfalls moving forward in order to better our city and make sure that West Dallas is a place that no matter what background someone comes from, that they can succeed here.
Peggy?
I'll go with Angelito on that, getting the people involved in making sure that they know their neighbors. And you can't come home from work, close your blinds, and say, I'm done for the night. You have to keep your windows open so you can see what's going on outside. My windows are open almost all night until I go to bed. And that's usually not till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And so whenever I see headlights, I'm always looking. I want to see who's turning around. You're pulling into my neighbor's driveway, who are you? And if they're just backing out, okay, great. But you have to make sure that you're watching what's going on in your neighborhoods. And if you see something that's not right, call the police. You can't just leave it up to, like I was saying, cops don't come down our street. And that's why I watch. Because I want to make sure that our neighborhood is safe. And if I can save somebody from getting robbed, I'm there for it.
Vincent?
Well, regarding the opium crisis, which is really down, in our area, really, or any drugs, Myself, really, I've been, of course, in my district, the last, 32 years and the last 20 years now, I always been getting like emails from really in a good neighborhood, like 64, 65th Ace to Arthur, a house nobody live in, and what happened, the guy was on the property, but he didn't live there. So he had a trafficking pattern that people used to purchase their drugs, So the only job, really, the alderman that we can really pursue, first of all, to find out from neighbors, which in many cases, the neighbors, they have a good eyes if you pay attention what's happening. So they call you alderman. Many times people, they don't like to call the police department. So our job is to refer that to the police department. So that's all those years that I've been on a council. That's what I have done. And I'm telling you, West Dallas Police Department, many times they have our marked squad cars, which they patrol the area for a while and see the activities occurs, the timing, and whether it's in the morning, evening hours, and that's, I feel we're doing pretty well. And again, I praise the leadership within the police department. They're doing a fantastic job. Last night I was out, and I see that, many people say, well, there's no police around. I saw about 4 or 5 squad cars between Washington Street all the way to Arthur. 4 or 5 squad cars, and that's it.
I'm sorry. That's
I don't want to, because otherwise I can't talk for 2 hours,
I was enjoying the story.
It's hard to interrupt when he's crazy.
I'm sorry that I.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you stop me anytime,
Okay. Our next question is, are there areas of concern regarding traffic that you would champion? What is your opinion of roundabouts, bump outs, or other means of traffic control? Angelita, we'll start with you.
I'm actually a proponent of roundabouts. Studies have shown that they are a good way to mitigate traffic. Reckless driving and speeding is another issue that people talk about, and like the pros of roundabouts, it's a natural way to get people to slow down. And if there is a car accident, it's a less lethal car accident because of the angle that cars hit each other, rather than people blowing through stoplights or stop signs or red lights or speeding through yellow lights. So that'd be something I'd support in order to address reckless driving and speeding in our communities. And we don't have wasted electrical light fixtures, and it's more sustainable as well.
Peggy?
In the actual neighborhoods, I'm in favor of the speed humps to slow people down, especially for the safety of the children. Maybe around the parks, so they're slowing down. So if the kids are crossing the street to get to the park or going home, they're already at a slow pace. They can stop in time before the kids are out into the street. As far as roundabouts, I don't think we have too many areas where we can actually put a roundabout, but if it'll slow people down and curb accidents, I'll go for it.
Vincent?
Well, the last, say, about 7-8 years, when we do reconstruct side streets, we do, the engineering department always bring forward the bump out, which I believe they're effective, But then we've been getting some neighbors which not really in favor, so we just leave it the way it was, just build a curb straight, but like I say, it does reduce, I believe, the traffic, the people that like to speed, instead of going 25 on the side street, they go 40, So I think it helps in that respect. But, overall, the speed bumps, is not really something we did try, I would say 15, 20 years ago on 57 Yale, between Greenfield and Lapham. And the first year, the driver from Public Works, he went down on 57 through the alley and he tore the thing apart. You know, because people wanted. So at that time, the city engineer, so they kind of, well, let's try it out. We did try it out. So really, for temperatures around here, you know, they're not effective. It will cause so much problems in our community if we talk about speed bumps. I mean, I will never really support that because it's not the way it really slow traffic down, you know, I mean, on some of the side street.
Okay, sorry.
That's all. That's all.
And then David.
I think very much like Vincent said, you really have to consult with the city engineer, see what's going to work to slow down traffic. I think narrowing the lanes is definitely something. I think more police enforcement. So we want to, you know, either in the having the actual police there, patrolling more, or having those signs. So when you drive by it, it's going to tell you what your speed is. I would not support speed bumps. I think that has a lot of, you know, it could potentially prevent people from moving in. It could lower property values because some people don't want to go over speed bumps every single day for years and years and years. So, but I love the idea of roundabouts. I think Angelito's got a good idea there, but you know, it's kind of hard to fit it in certain areas of West Dallas. So I'd say consult the city engineer, you narrow the lanes of traffic, and you up the police enforcement.
All right, thank you very much. And before we get to closing remarks, I want to thank everybody for trying their best to stay on time. We got through everything but one question, so we're going to leave you guys time for some closing remarks. Again, limited to a minute so everybody gets a chance to speak. And we'll go the opposite way this time and start with Peggy.
Again, I am a longtime resident of West Dallas. I also almost 20 years with Milwaukee County. I've spent 6 years with child support. I am now working my 20th year with the county. And I am also on my 12th year with the clerk of courts. I work hand in hand with statutes, Court of Appeals, court records. I basically am a one-man department for the clerk of courts. So I do have some experience with statutes and knowing how budgets work for the time that I've been with the county. And I do know what it is to be a public employee.
Thank you. Vincent?
Well, I've been living in West Dallas, of course, about 53 years. And the last 53 years, 32 years, I've been an alderman. So I raised my family here, which was on 6617 West Beloit Road. I could never forget that address. So then after about 15 years, I did purchase a house at the present time on KK Parkway. So for me, always been connected, you know, with our city, you know, from beginning, you know, when I put my first foot in West Dallas. So I've been very dedicated, being connected with the public, you know. I mean, whether it was the Holy Name Society within the church and many other organizations, the Lions Club, and on and on. Mayor Barlick, back then, he appointed me on what was it, fire, no, the commission, or what was it, commission and public commission, I think, was for safety, you know. So that was the first beginning, you know. So what I'm saying, I always been connected within our community, you know. I always had a good interest, you know, and I always been devoted elected official, really, in many angles of our community, you know. I always have been out there. I always been, you know, Angelito mentioned, I respect him anyway, you know. He mentioned that, the person that probably they moved in 2 years ago. But you know what, for 32 years, maybe not the last 5-6 years, but I've been knocked doors for at least 25 years, you know. I mean,
Don't make me cut shopping.
I mean, really. So any place you go, I mean, who's this guy here, you know? I mean, so the questions, if people ask any questions, to me, I mean, I've been communicating with them in a different levels, really, in a different levels. So that's why, I mean, now, I mean, well, I don't go door to door this year. I don't. I mean, really, I'm not. I got some campaign signs out. I mean, why I should lie about it? I'm not lying because today I've been out there. I mean, let me finish. I've been out there, and many people today don't even answer the door. Really, if you don't know, don't really know you, you know.
Yep.
That's reality, you know.
right.
Okay, sorry about that. You know, I mean,
Just trying to do my job.
I know.
I'm proud to be from West Dallas. Our city has so much to offer, and I'm really excited about the direction our city is going in, and I think we can do more. Something that I haven't mentioned yet, but that I really care about is the environment. I work for an environmental organization called Wisconsin Conservation Voters, and I think there's an opportunity for West Dallas to be a leader in clean energy. Moving our city towards clean energy, it'd be as simple as investing in solar panels, and it would eventually pay for itself. And it's good for the environment. We save money. And I think that's something that we can do. We can be the first city in southeast Wisconsin to commit to 100% clean energy, and that's super powerful. And that turning our city clean and green is so important, and also addressing the image that our city has. I really want West Dallas to be a city where everyone feels welcome, where everyone can thrive, regardless of where they come from, where they're born, the color of their skin, how old they are. They can find a place in our city in order to thrive and do better and to move forward together. Thank you.
David?
Put in the simplest terms, if elected, the alderman's job is to make sure that our city is the best that it can be, keep our roads and infrastructure projects, make sure that they get completed, keep crime low, make sure that our police and fire and first responders have the equipment and the training that they need, and do all of that with the least amount of money and the least amount of waste possible. That is what I would commit to you. I'll use my skills in leadership, process improvement, and finance to ensure a high level of services, while at the same time holding the line on property taxes. I believe that if you vote for me, I will offer my integrity, I offer my time, and my strengths. I care about West Dallas, and I care about you. And I am asking you to vote for me. And one last thing, remember, you get to pick 2 candidates. So I myself am a voter as well. And I am impressed at the level of candidates that our district has put forth. Angelito is a very impressive young man. He's running an aggressive campaign. He's got a lot of new ideas, and that's exactly what we need in our district. Vince has amazing experience. He's been doing this probably longer than some of us have been on Earth.
Thank you. Thank you,
But he
Dave.
has a
I
lot
appreciate
of
that.
experience, and he's done it for a long time. And Peggy, you can tell that she cares absolutely about our city and that she cares about people, and that's what we need as well. So remember, you get to pick 2, and I am asking you to vote for me as well.
Thank you so much. This has been great to be able to hear that, believe it or not. I did hear to every single answer that you have provided tonight. Mommy duty call, so I had to kind of step out and care for my children. I want to just let you know that we appreciate, on behalf of Liberty Heights of Neighborhood Association and East Dallas Neighborhood Association, we appreciate you taking the time to answer our questions. This is a continuation, so we would look forward to hearing through your own platforms, questions that you are going to continue to hear from your constituents. So we thank you so much for being here today. And I also like to acknowledge all the participants that are here from our specific associations as well, who are eager to be able to get to know you and be able to hear more from you as well. We do have refreshments courtesy of East Dallas Neighborhood Association, so please stick around for as long as we can in here. And again, this will be televised, so it has been televised, so it will be recorded and available. So you're welcome to share that as well through your own platforms.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.